This is a story about how one little bear got everything he ever wanted. It was late at night and nearly every single person had gone home from the department store except for one little boy named Bobby. He sat down on the floor surrounded by his new toys, but then he frowned because he knew he had forgotten something. And so he looked all over the store until he found it, his brand new corduroy bear. But it wasn't the same. Something was different about this corduroy. His fur was a bit dustier. One of his buttons was loose, and his smile was a bit sadder. "Are you okay?" asked Bobby, but the bear didn't respond. And that's when Bobby realized that this wasn't his corduroy. This was a corduroy that had been waiting on the shelf for a long time, hoping that someone would choose him. And now, Bobby had taken his place on the shelf, but he had no one to go home to. So Bobby did the only logical thing he could think of. He put the bear in his jacket pocket and walked him home. The next morning, the bear woke up in Bobby's room. He yawned and stretched and took in his surroundings. Everything was brightly colored and very loud, especially the one thing that he had been dreading, the washing machine. The bear tried to hide behind Bobby's bed, but Bobby picked him up and said, "Don't worry, I won't let anything bad happen to you." And with that, the bear braced himself. But when he came out of the washing machine, something incredible happened. Bobby gave him a big hug and then tucked him into bed. But the bear knew that even though he had a friend in Bobby, he still had no one to go home to. So that night while Bobby slept, the bear put on his jacket and went out the window. He had two goals. The first was to find a replacement button. The second was to find somewhere or someone that needed a corduroy bear. As the bear walked through the empty city streets, he felt a strange sense of freedom. For the first time in a long time, he didn't feel dusty or alone or incomplete. The city lights twinkled like the stars in the sky. The fountains sparkled like diamonds in the sun. And the buildings seemed to whisper secrets only he could hear. He walked past sleeping dogs and birds and even an old man on a park bench. But no matter where he went, the bear couldn't shake the feeling that he was missing something. So he continued his walk until he saw a familiar sight, a 24-hour diner. As the bear walked in, the bell above the door jingled merrily, announcing his arrival. All of the tables were empty except for one where a woman sat sipping a cup of coffee. She had curly red hair and kind eyes, and she smiled warmly at the bear. "Can I help you?" she asked. But the bear just shook his head, walked up to the counter and stared out the window, watching the cars drive by. It was then that the woman noticed his loose button. "Honey," she said, reaching out to touch his fur. "Are you all right?" The bear flinched at her touch, but then he looked back at her and asked, "Do you have a button that would match this one?" The woman's smile faded and she looked down at the counter. "I'm sorry, dear," she said. "I don't have any buttons here." The bear sighed and started to walk away, but then the woman called out to him. "Wait a minute," she said. "Why don't you come sit down for a while? I'll make you some coffee and we can talk." The bear hesitated, unsure if he should stay or go, but then he decided to stay. He walked back to the table and sat down. The woman poured him a cup of coffee and sat down opposite him. "Thank you," the bear said. "My name's Corduroy." "It's nice to meet you, Corduroy," the woman said. "My name's Clara." "Got." The bear took a sip of his coffee, then set it down. "What do you do here?" he asked. "I run this diner," Clara replied. "Well, technically, it's my dad's diner. He's the one who makes all the delicious food. I just keep things running smoothly around here." The bear nodded. "That sounds nice," he said. Then he paused. "Do you have anyone to go home to at night?" he asked. Clara looked down at her hands. "Not really," she admitted. "I live above the diner. It's just me and my cat, Mittens." The bear understood what it meant to be alone. He had spent many nights on that shelf in the department store watching the other toys being taken home, knowing that he would be left behind. That's why he had taken such good care of the button box. It reminded him of a time when he had a family, a time before he had become lost and forgotten. He reached into his pocket and pulled it out. Clara gasped. "How beautiful," she whispered, taking the box from his paws. Opened it slowly, as if afraid to break the magic inside. When she saw the buttons, her eyes filled with tears. "These are perfect," she whispered. "Just what I've been looking for." The bear's heart sank. He had hoped that she might want to take him home, but now he knew that she only wanted the box. Still, he had to admit, it did look a bit lonely on the shelf. "Would you like me to stay?" he asked hopefully, but Clara shook her head. "No, you silly bear," she said. "You need to find your own home. a place where you can be loved and cherished, not just put on a shelf. The bear felt a lump in his throat. She was right, of course. But as he turned to leave, he bumped into a stack of boxes and they fell, crashing to the floor. Startled, the bear ran out of the diner without saying goodbye. He raced through the streets, dodging cars and leaping over puddles until he came to a park. He sat down on a bench, hugging his button box close, and watched the children playing in the fountain. They splashed and giggled, and the sound of their laughter filled the night air. Suddenly, the bear felt a wet nose nudge his paw. He looked down and saw a small brown dog with floppy ears. "Can I help you?" the bear asked. The dog barked once, and then trotted away. Curious, the bear followed him. The dog led him to a small wooden house at the edge of the park. The bear approached cautiously, not sure what to expect. Then he knocked on the door. In a moment, it opened, and a little girl peeked out. Her eyes widened when she saw the bear. "Oh, hello," she said. "Can I help you?" The bear hesitated. How could he explain that he was looking for a home? Just then, the dog barked again and licked the girl's hand. She smiled and turned back to the bear. "Did you come from the park?" she asked. "I saw a lost dog running around there earlier." The bear nodded. "And, do you have a home?" the girl asked. The bear shook his head sadly. "Well," the girl said, "you can't stay here all night. Why don't you come in, and I'll make you some hot chocolate?" The bear hesitated, unsure if he should trust her, but then he decided to go in. As he stepped inside, he saw a cozy living room with a fireplace and a comfortable couch. And sitting in an armchair was the most extraordinary sight of all, a woman who looked exactly like the bear. She had the same round face, the same floppy ears, and the same button nose. "Mother," the girl said, noticing the bear staring at her mother. "This is Corduroy." "What, he says he doesn't have a home?" The woman smiled warmly at the bear. "Then you've come to the right place," she said. "We could use another teddy bear around here." The bear's eyes widened in surprise. Could this be his new home? The woman led him to a bedroom where she showed him a shelf full of teddy bears. "Pick out any one of these," she said. "They're all yours." Overwhelmed with joy, the bear chose a shelf where he could see the little girl playing. He settled in quickly, and soon enough he heard the little girl calling him to come play. As the sun began to rise, the bear knew that his adventure was over. He had found his new home and a new family. As he played with the little girl, he knew that he was exactly where he was supposed to be. The end.